Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session, and the ones to come, will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. This body, made of elements like water, is not the self, and identifying with it leads to bondage and limitation. The issue arises when I, or anyone, identify as the body, limiting perception and experience. If instead I were to identify as nature itself, there would be no conflict, since everything would be part of me, and I would see myself as everything. But the problem persists because I continue to see myself as the body. The guidance being provided here is to realize that I am not the earth, water, fire, wind, or space. All of these are being ruled out to bring me to the understanding that what remains is nothing, but this nothing is not the absence of being. What remains beyond all elements and objects is the conscious essence or witness, the very core of my being. This conscious essence is my true nature. There are two ways of viewing the self. One is the standpoint of appearances, and the other is the standpoint of essence. When I view something from the standpoint of appearances, I superimpose ideas onto it that are not its true nature. An example is a clay piggy bank. I call it a piggy bank, but when I touch it, I discover that it's really clay. While the name piggy bank is used for transactional purposes, its essence remains clay. Understanding the essence of something changes the way I relate to it. Similarly, in the context of the self, the conscious essence is the core of all elements, earth, water, fire, wind, and space, because these elements themselves are ultimately not separate from the conscious witness that I am. I may refer to this conscious essence as consciousness, awareness, or life. It's not just found in living beings, it is within everything. The entire creation, everything that exists, contains this essence, this life force. Life is everywhere, manifesting under certain conditions and not under others, but it is always present. Some things appear to be living because life manifests more clearly in them, while other things appear to be non-living because life does not manifest in the same way. But the essence, the consciousness, is still there. I need to start seeing myself as this ever-present witness that observes everything. To be a witness is not merely to observe, but to be present without being affected. I am like space in this analogy. Space exists regardless of what happens within it. Whether a room is created, destroyed, filled with objects, or emptied, space itself remains unaffected. Space doesn't change based on what occurs within it, and neither do I, as the witness. When I open my eyes and see space, I know it is there. When I close my eyes and no longer see it, I still know that space exists. I remain aware, whether space is visible or not. This awareness is the essence of the conscious witness. Even in different states like dreams or deep sleep, I, the conscious witness, remain aware, unaffected by the changes. In deep sleep, where nothing is experienced or recorded, I am still there. Upon waking, I realize that I saw a dream, and I know that at one point there was nothingness. The events of seeing, dreaming, or experiencing nothingness do not affect me as the conscious witness, because I am always present, always aware, and always detached from what is happening. The conscious witness, my true self, is untouched by everything, including emotions like happiness and sorrow. These affect only the mind, not the witness. Life itself is indifferent to the forms it takes, whether it is in a seed, a sprout, or in the body that consumes the sprout. When the form changes, life remains constant. The sprout might dissolve back into the earth, but life, as the essence, is unaffected by these transformations. Everything in creation, from plants to objects, can be destroyed, but the material they are made of, the essence, cannot be destroyed. If the material were to disappear, there would be no creation at all. But this is impossible because something cannot arise from nothing. Therefore, creation might change in appearance, but its underlying essence remains constant and indestructible. Once I realize that this material essence is not separate from me, but is me, my understanding shifts completely. The limitations of the mind begin to break down. Right now, my thoughts are confined to the body and everything related to it. However, when my thoughts shift from the body to the material essence of the body and the universe, I transcend these limitations. Thoughts no longer have a hold over me, and there is no need for them in the same way anymore. Thoughts can be useful for dealing with material things, but they no longer define the self. The self, as the conscious witness, is beyond thoughts and is limitless. The teaching here is not about worshipping a separate conscious essence or considering it to be some external deity. If I were told to regard this essence as God, the whole process would lose its significance. What would I do with that knowledge? The traditional understanding of God, where I do good and am rewarded with heaven, or do bad and am punished in hell, is irrelevant here. The teaching does not ask me to look at an external God, but to realize that I am the conscious witness. I am not the earth, water, fire, wind, or space. I am the conscious essence of these elements. This is the most crucial point to grasp, that I myself am the conscious witness of everything, untouched by all that happens in the universe. This understanding frees me from suffering at the level of thought, because I no longer identify with the body or the mind's limitations. Instead, I recognize that I am the conscious witness, ever present and free from all attachments and influences. This realization is the key to liberation.